but they actually had a really, really bad experience. And it really, really bugged me. And that was my fault. But I said, what am I going to do about it? So I approached our CRO at the time and said, I'm willing to raise my hand and start this enablement program. I'll take care of onboarding. I'm going to take care of getting your sales and CS teams up-leveled, and we're going to do this. I was able and fortunate to actually grow and expand my program from a team of 1 to a team of 4, and I've done it twice. So I did it at Zappy, which is what I'm going to talk about now, and then I moved to Hello Heart this past May with my wonderful team sitting here in the middle. So let's talk about the journey. If you think about how you're going to start an enablement program, you have to do a couple of things. So I'm going to buzz through these quickly. Don't feel you need to take a picture. I'm going to talk about them in detail. So the first is you need to recognize a problem. As you're going from startup phase into growing up and expanding, this might be expanding into different markets. So maybe you're a US-based or US-centric company and you want to move into LATAM or Europe or APAC, or you're selling exclusively to enterprise and then you want to move downstream, or the opposite. You're selling to that mid-market and now you want to move more upstream. At some point, there's going to be this pivot point. Then you need to make the decision to decide what to do about it. Is it something you're going to own? Is it something that can be done with an outside consultant? Maybe bring in sales trainers, whatever that might be. What are you going to do about it? Next, you have to draft a plan. I said make a plan. Making a plan is probably too far, but you're going to at least draft a plan. Get those thoughts out on the table, and nothing is off the table at this point in time. Then it's really, really important, I was in sales, to do important discovery. You have to talk to your go-to-market function, not just the friendlies, not just the people that you know who are going to be loud and give you all the information. You want to get a good cross-section of that go-to-market function. Then you need to make your case. So I'll talk about how I did this with my CRO and how you're actually going to get budget, get approval, and things like that. And then next is the really fun part. You get to execute, you get to measure, and you get to iterate. Whatever you see in that bottom left-hand corner of your draft, you might start with. Within a couple of months or so, you're going to have to start changing it. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty. So the first step is recognizing the problem. Who knows this famous line from Apollo 13? Houston, we have a problem. Fun fact, that's actually not what Jim Lovell said on the space station. It's been misquoted, and Hollywood has distorted it, and now we all say, Houston, we have a problem probably once a week in our day-to-day lives, especially in enablement. But he actually said, Houston, we've had a problem. It was now past tense. It was too late for Jim Lovell and the other astronauts up there. Luckily, of course, they were able to come back to Earth safely, but after several days of stress and no sleep and cold and almost dying up there, they were able to solve this. But there's a tipping point when you're expanding from startup to actually go from startup to grow up. So like I talked about, if you're an organization that's actually going to expand to new markets, expand verticals, expand to different size organizations your teams are going to sell to, you have to figure that out. And it's really that you don't miss it. Sometimes it's too late. It was too late a little bit for them. All of their software went, there was an explosion on the spacecraft. They were able to salvage it, but it took a lot of work, whereas if they were more proactive, they would have been able to do that much easier. So, okay, you've recognized there's a problem. Now you need to decide what to do about it. And who are my older millennials out there that recognize this? Where's this from? That's right. Who misses this show? Man, I would binge that if they brought that back on Nickelodeon. So it's a little dramatic. The choices are yours and yours alone. It's not exactly that, but it isn't always obvious exactly what to do about it. So let's think about how the problem can be solved. Can it be done just by sales leaders talking to each other a little bit more, talking to the customer success leaders or your product marketing or your product team? Can this be handled kind of internally with those line managers? Probably not. Maybe it can be done with the individual contributors, peer-to-peer, talking to each other, learning from each other, coaching each other. Your A players out there, we all have those A players that want to be coached and they want to be able to do those things and improve the organization and not just get to their quota. Those happen, but fewer and far between. Sales ops. My friends in sales ops. They are a crucial part to this, and you have to make sure that you're leaning in with them and having those discussions, but they probably can't enable the actual sales team like you find folks in this room. Or is it you? Which it was for me, and I'll talk about that right now. So, little story before I draft a plan, how we got here. So it was early summer of 2019. I was at Zappy for a number of years. I was an AE and then promoted to sales manager. I was a line manager for the East region and the Canadian business. And I just hired 2 AEs, and they came on board, and I'm still like trying to like run pipeline reviews. I had a couple of reps. I'm getting on planes. I'm going to visit prospects and run pipeline meetings and do forecasts and getting on client calls and all that. And I maybe in my spare time, 1 or 2 hours a week, help them with their onboarding. But they actually had a really bad experience, and it really bugged me, and that was my fault. But I said, what am I going to do about it? So I approached our CRO at the time and said, I'm willing to raise my hand and start this enablement program. I'll take care of onboarding. I'm going to take care of getting your sales and CS teams up-leveled, and we're going to do this. And he says, I guess that sounds okay, but show me your work. What's your plan? I said, okay. So what I did, I started with a blank piece of paper. Actually, it was probably like a Google Doc, but you know what I mean. So go to a place and just start writing. Nothing is off the table just yet, okay? So you need to just think about all the possibilities that are out there. You're only one person. You're not going to be able to do all this, but get it all out there on paper. No idea is too far out there at this point in the stage, and I'll talk about when you have to start ringing that in. Don't think about this quarter. We had a lot of problems probably, and you're all facing these right now as you just wrapped up Q3 if you're on like a calendar year or fiscal, and you're thinking about what am I going to do in Q4? You can't think that way with an enablement program. You have to take a business-wide mindset. So I came from sales. I was in sales when I was writing this document, but you have to actually think about the entire prospect into customer journey to make them, aware of your product, all the way to champions and socializing and spreading the word from you, and all those steps in between. There's a lot of them. Okay, so now I've drafted my plan, what I thought. I think I'm a pretty smart guy, but you know what? I work with a lot of smart colleagues, and so do you. You have to talk to them and get their input. It's really important that you don't just talk to a couple of people. You have to talk to individual contributors. Those that have been there 3 months, 3 years, or 13 years. Talk to the leaders. They're going to have different perspective as well, but it's really important to take that into account.